one man that we absolutely have to put respect on.
Yes, sir.
Is Edward Leedskalnin.
Is I'm not sure if that's accurate. I don't
Neither
even know.
am I.
I'm not sure how to say it, but that sounded wrong.
It's a Latvian name. Mm-hmm. It comes from Eastern Europe.
Okay. Eastern Europe. How Eastern? All the way Eastern?
No, like in between Europe and Russia. So today,
So that's all the way Eastern then, Europe, if it's between Europe and Russia, because Russia's Asia.
well, no, there's like, you have like the Kazakhstans and stuff like that, and
I really don't know.
so,
I don't know. You don't know. I don't know.
Latvia.
East of the Baltic, you say?
Right here. So Latvia's here. So that's Poland. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Russia's right here.
Hey, yes, that's East. That's all the way East Europe.
All the way Eastern Europe. You know what I mean? Right. And that's where this gentleman was from. And the crazy part about it is that, so Edward Leedskalnin was a.
Is that how we're saying it? Is that his name?
Let's really find out what it is.
Leedskalnin, they say he's a man of discipline and consistency. When they speak of Edward Leedskalnin, they say he's a man of discipline and consistency. A man driven with passion and purpose. You would think that a man like this would make a great husband. Yet some say that the absolute most important things in a relationship is wealth and security. Have you guys ever heard the term? The man was married to his job.
Kimberly.
This description fits Edward to a T.
Oh.
If you treat your life's work like a wife, you would be determined to please that woman. Make sure that she's fed. You make sure that she has shelter. You share with her everything. Always go in the extra mile.
What are we talking about?
Because that's what unconditional love is.
Okay.
Not all humans can practice that, but when they do, it makes them a great people. Some say that unconditional love led Edward Leedskalnin to be a hermit. Weird and obsessive. With his coral castle, because he's not focused on what most men are focused on. Some hold their wives up to a pedestal. You guys treat vaginas like gold. Vagina, it's fucking amazing and it's a hell of a drug. But most you fucks die alone with no castle. Hey Phraydoe, this place doesn't look like a castle.
I know.
Step your game up, bro.
It's a small house.
Stop being a weirdo.
Okay, I'm not a weirdo because I live in a townhouse.
Ooh.
I think what she's getting to...
Inappropriate, Kimberly.
Why was that inappropriate? She's speaking her mind. We have to stop putting filters on people. We have to let them speak, Thompson. It didn't come off disrespectful. She didn't have a disrespectful tone. It was very analog, and it was like a digital, non-passive aggressive tone.
Cool.
I think what she was speaking about is so Edward Leedskalnin. Did I say that right?
Probably not.
Okay. The guy was from Latvia.
There's an N-I-N. It's N-I-N. Skalnin.
Yeah.
Leedskalnin.
Edward. Okay. Edward was a small, frail hermit of a man. That's what they say.
That's what most people describe him as.
I know.
Imagine going through life and being described as this frail hermit.
That built a huge castle.
No, I'm talking about like back when he was just living life.
Life.
People still thought he was crazy.
But people still called him a hermit afterwards, too.
That's what I'm saying. Imagine living life just being totally disrespected every day for the way you look.
Well, maybe it's not a disrespect because of what he did.
A frail hermit, isn't it disrespectful?
It's not disrespectful because the man built like a megalithic castle made of limestone coral that weighs like 1,000,000 tons by himself.
And it's amazing.
He was small and frail.
And it's amazing.
You should get like a Medal of Valor for that. You know what I mean?
No, it's amazing that he did all that. I'm just saying people describe him as small and frail.
Well, people describe you as a tall bear.
Okay.
That could be like tall gay guy or tall animalistic wild creature, but you don't take it like that because it's a term of endearment.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a problem because none of those things are negative. You know what I mean? Frail and tiny.
Yeah, that's who he is.
Negative connotations.
Well,
frail especially.
Because we live in a society that supposedly a man's supposed to be a strong man and a man is supposed to protect his woman, right? Supposed to have a good job and it's supposed to all these things that society defines as a man. But the truth is that when you get a man like this that dedicated his life to building a castle by himself, Okay, it took him some say decades to build something that not even a full construction crew with cranes and everything could do, right? And so I think what Kimberly was saying is that most men are respected for unconditional love, passion, like by any means, I'm going to support my wife. I'm going to build this homestead for my family, right? That's not looked at as weird. But when the same man goes out and dedicates his life to a project and puts that same energy and passion and, absolute and, by any means necessary, I'm going to build this castle. People are like, that guy's kind of weird. Like, why doesn't he have a wife? Why doesn't he have, children? Why doesn't he do the regular thing? So you have to automatically define that person as different. So sometimes that different connotation or definition of a person seems like disrespectful or, but
no, I mean,
in reality,
tiny and frail, or that this, it seems like I wouldn't want to be described as frail.
Right, but if you were a big muscle man and you built it, you would kind of like, okay, he did it, but look how big he is.
That he's building this thing and he's frail. Yeah,
that's what gives him more power.
Sure, but he was. It seemed that he was doing it for a purpose or for his sweet 16, right?
Okay, so this gets into a little bit of the rapey vibe, but it was the times. A lot of people were marrying younger women. He was 28 years old in Latvia.
This is in the 20s, right?
This is in 1900. Yeah, no, because he got to Florida in 1920.
Okay, so this was in the 10s.
Yeah,
the teens.
Yeah, because so he lived in Latvia. He fell in love with
East Europe. I gotta remind myself.
Super east,
the eastest of Europe. Is it not Asia? No. Okay.
You gotta get to Russia first, and then not even. It doesn't even become Asia yet until you get like a little past Russia.
Well, Russia's Asia.
Nah.
Yeah.
Nah.
It's not its own continent.
It's not its own continent, but it's like some of Russia is like northern
Asia.
Europe.
It's like Asia and Europe.
I'm not a geographer,
Asia,
so I'm going to
Russia,
just take your word
Europe.
for it.
At least I don't think. I may have it wrong, but I don't think I do.
You might be right.
Anyway, it doesn't matter.
So
he comes from there, that part of the world that we're not even sure.
Right. And
side note, did you hear that this is funny. Conspiracy theorists, the flat earthers, are saying that also, not all of the flat earthers are saying that Australia doesn't exist and everybody that supposedly lives there is paid by NASA. I heard that this week. Sorry, side note. Go back, Latvia. Fucking NASA.
So no Australia, huh?
No.
Well, they might not be into traveling.
Yeah.
So Edward was in Latvia, and he asked this young girl that was 16 to marry him. And they were at the altar, and at the altar she said, "I'm sorry, Edward, I can't marry you because you're too old and poor."
How old was he?
28.
That's too old to be marrying a 16-year-old, by the way.
Yeah, but at the time, this was a thing that happened. You know what I mean? Older men would come in and...
But they had money?
Not necessarily money. They would just, be able to provide.
They weren't frail. They were tiny.
Maybe that was it. She kind of looked... But maybe a lot of Eastern European men look like that.
Like somebody looks at you like that.
But in Latvia, there's a lot of men that look like that.
Okay.
That was the body build at the time over there.
Okay.
But when you come to America, you're gonna, stand out. Mm-hmm. So when he, I guess they say that he left heartbroken, and when he came to the United States, he traveled all over the United States, and that's why I think it was 1915, 1916, because he worked all the way Oregon, California, Texas. He was a logger. Okay, so in Latvia, according to some of the research I did, he was a stonemason.
His family, right?
And a tinker of sorts, right?
Tinker?
Like electronics, magnets and stuff. And then when he came to the United States, he learned the trade of logging huge logs and stuff like that, cutting them down and moving them. So he got all this intellect.
Right, he got these tools to put in his little satchel as he moved down the west coast of the United States.
Somewhere along the line, he contracted tuberculosis.
Damn.
So he decided to move down to Florida.
Humidity.
Right.
Yeah.
So there was this account that there was this guy in Florida City that was driving.
Florida City? Where's that?
It's a little north of Homestead, a little like
South
about
Florida.
Yeah, about 10, 15 minutes from, or 10 or 15 miles from Miami Beach area. So he was out there by himself, just walking, looking for some land. So this farmer was riding along, and he's like, "Who's that boy out in the middle?"
Who's this tiny boy out here? This tiny child by
Pulls
himself.
up on homie and was like, "What are you doing out here?" And he's like, "Oh, my name is Edward Leedskalnin. I'm from Latvia."
Is that your Latvian accent?
I think
Did
so.
You practice that?
I just threw it out there. I didn't practice it. That was off the cuff right there. That's it.
You know the worst part is I don't know. It could be accurate. I don't know what a Latvian accent is.
I pulled that from
Just
the
keep
ether
doing
of
it.
the
I like
universe.
it. I think it's good.
My name is Edward Leedskalnin, and I'm here to look for land. And he's like, "Oh, well, why would you want land over here? This is, there's barely any topsoil, and there's a whole bunch of limestone and coral under this land." He's like, "I love limestone and coral." So he jumps on.
Kind of Irish there for a second. But go ahead, sorry.
It's mid-European. So, homie lets him ride with him, brings him back to his wife's house, and introduces him to his wife. And his wife apparently is used to this guy bringing randoms home and stuff.
Oh, man.
He's just a nice guy.
He's a nice guy.
So,
What's this guy's name again? Do you know?
we'll play a video that I don't remember his name fully, but this is the guy that Edward buys his first acre of land. So, they nurse him back to health. They help him with his tuberculosis and stuff. And then he starts looking for his different plots of land. And at this time, he's known as the weird guy that's riding his bike everywhere, like this old rusty bike, right? Mm-hmm. So he finally finds a little piece of land on the farmer's land. And the farmer is just like blown away. Like, "Why do you want this piece of land?" And Edward was just like real keen on, "No, this is the perfect piece." And like I said, it was only like filled with rock. It was
Bedrock.
This limestone coral that's
limestone coral
everywhere in Florida. You can find it everywhere.
Right.
It's what we're standing on top of 9 times out of 10, unless you're over a sinkhole. Be careful. Sinkholes happen. So he starts to quarry the land, and so as he's quarrying the land, he's beginning to like excavate all these rocks, and he's doing it with like primitive stuff that he would buy from a junkyard or get for free from a junkyard, and he started making his own tools. So he does this for about 3 years and makes a small structure there. Right now, while he's building it, I guess he starts to get like notoriety amongst the local town folk, and some accounts say that some kids or some young men showed up and tried to rob the guy because they looked at him like an eccentric guy that was maybe stashing money, and how was he building this stuff. So he decided, either because of the robbery or because of, some say that that area wasn't as, he was looking for, some say he was, because he wrote a lot of books on magnetisms.
Magnetism.
On magnetism.
Stop at the,
Stop at the is. And he wanted to find a better piece of land because he felt like the whole world was laid out in this magnetical grid.
Ooh.
And certain areas of land were better able,
I believe him,
to be chopped and quarried for this rock, and he was able better to move his rock. Some say this, right? And the reason I say this is because we talk about his Sweet 16. While he was building this castle, he kept telling everybody, "I'm building my castle for my Sweet 16, my Sweet 16. A lot of people thought
she'll
was
come, right?
Right. They thought that it was this girl from Latvia that was going to come one day, and he was literally building a castle for her, right? But some say that this Sweet 16 was a magnet machine that he made, because when you go inside the wheelhouse, is what he called it, which was his workshop, there was a magnetic wheel with 16 key things, and this basically powered and generated, because he had his own power there. He had it. Some say that it helped.
Wait, does it work now?
We're gonna get into that.
Okay.
Yes and no. Some people have been able to somewhat replicate it.
Okay.
Some people say that that's not even where he was going. But the point is that this machine basically helped him cut the stone, levitate the stone, supposedly build the place.
Levitate the stone.
And they say that he
in
moved
1920 something.
Right. So this was early 1920 something. In 1936, he decided, because of either the robbery or because he said that he found a better lot of land in Homestead, Florida. So the guy literally hired a guy with a tractor truck trailer, and he moved all this coral about 15 miles down Homestead.
Right.
Now, the crazy thing is that he had no help. He would have the guy drop the truck off.
Right.
He would put all the stones by himself on the truck.
He had him go around the corner, right?
Well, no, just leave for lunch and come back later in a few hours. Crazy thing is, one time the guy showed up a little early, like 30 minutes early, and he had the whole entire truck already loaded with like 30 tons of coral rock.
Yeah, he was always real secretive.
And nobody knows how exactly he did it. Now, some say that it took him decades to build it. Some say it took him about a year and a half to actually transfer all the rocks from the first location to the location where it is now. But people are just blown away at exactly how he did this. So I want to play this documentary because the thing is that he died in 1951. And people are still blown away on how he did it. Like even construction crews nowadays, they're still not able to figure it out, right? So this is a cool little documentary that's an older one, but I just enjoy.
In Search Of has investigated the mystery of
I love
many
documentaries
ancient
with
I love that
monuments like
voice.
the pyramids,
That is documentary
Stonehenge,
voice. I
and
need
Easter
that every
Island.
time.
The solution to these puzzles may be concealed in Florida's Coral Castle. This monumental structure was created by one man with his bare hands in the 20th century.
Bare hands.
Fire. Feels like
What
Enter the
strange
Dragon.
forces created this castle of secrets? Coral Castle has been called the eighth wonder of the world.
The eighth.
This place is a fantasy garden and an engineering marvel. The blocks are cut and set with great precision, locked without mortar. At 30 tons, the greatest single stone in Coral Castle is twice as massive as any in the pyramids.
Wow.
Here are massive megaliths,
He did this by himself, guys.
huge astrological symbols, and structures whose purpose is a total mystery. Surprisingly, 25 miles away is cosmopolitan Miami. Coral Castle was built not in ancient times, but in the 20th century. Most curious of all, Coral Castle was built in secret by one man, Edward Leedskalnin, a frail little hermit.
No.
With no modern machinery
I told you.
Frail little hermit.
Everybody's calling him a frail
Come
little.
on, dog.
and with
He's
no help, he somehow
he's
hand-carved
a
and
man
lifted
of like small stature
But
or
it
something.
blows you away because once he says frail little hermit, you're like, how did this frail little hermit build such a monolithic
I
structure?
don't want to call the man a frail hermit.
Yeah, but it gives him context. I wouldn't call it to his face, but I would definitely describe
That's
him.
what I'm saying. Don't say anything about somebody we wouldn't say to
Bro,
somebody
if a man can move a 30-ton rock, you think he's going to have trouble with a 265-pound fat
That's
guy?
more a reason
I
not to
doubt
talk
it.
shit about him. More of a reason.
every single block, a total of 3 million pounds.
3 million pounds.
With all our modern technology, we might be able to duplicate the pyramids. But how could we ever do it with our bare hands? Dreamers beyond the fringe of science have postulated a long-lost art of harnessing anti-gravity. It seems incredible, but Ed Leedskalnin may have rediscovered these ancient secrets.
I didn't picture that guy as the
Me
voice.
neither, not at all.
I thought it was going to be like an
Older
older
guy.
Yeah.
Let's look at his life story. The mystery of Coral Castle began in rural South
Look how
Florida,
old
just
this
after
is.
World War I.
That's old.
Oh,
Settlers and land speculators began to move down from the East Coast, displacing the indigenous Seminole Indians.
Displacing. What a nice word
Newcomers found a humid,
for what it is.
rape and pillage.
sprawling tropical land, full of mosquitoes and opportunities.
Damn, man, he's just chilling with all those alligators in there. Like it was nothing.
The great Florida land boom was on.
Oh, okay.
In 1919,
Color
as
on that
recreated here, a real estate man named Moser was scouting
Oh,
land
we're
along
reenacting stuff.
Yeah, this is the guy I was telling you about.
back roads
Moser.
near the Everglades. He spotted a stranger. first, he thought it was a boy.
Who's
and
that
was surprised
At least you didn't call him a hermit.
to encounter a very small grown man.
Would you rather be called a frail hermit or a little boy?
Oh man, that is a good one.
I'm gonna go with frail hermit.
Yeah, me too, I guess.
The stranger couldn't weigh more than 90 pounds.
Damn.
Hello, my name is Edward Leedskalnin. How are you?
Wizard, always friendly, offered a ride.
I'm looking for a piece of land.
The little man introduced himself.
It's a little man.
Edward Leedskalnin,
This guy's disrespectful, bro.
recently immigrated from Latvia.
I'm
said
from Latvia.
was searching this part of Florida for a specific plot of land.
I'm looking for some land. Do you know where I can find some?
Moser realized the little man had advanced tuberculosis.
Isn't that contagious?
I low-key would have probably kicked Edward out of my
I mean,
truck at that point.
I don't know. I
I'd
don't want to be
mad
insensitive to
ignorant.
people.
Shout out to
TB.
Mose for just being that
Because people
dude.
still get tuberculosis, right? No, that's
I
not like
don't
a
know.
cure thing.
Not sure.
All right,
I'm
well, I don't
only
want
a
to be
doctor at
disrespectful, but
Google.
I think is that.
I don't know. I only got my doctorate in Google. I'm not like a real PhD doctor.
I mean, he's coughing into a napkin or shit.
Yeah. This is also recreated. There's a lot of dramatization.
Dramatization.
Yeah.
Mrs. Moser always welcomed the strangers her husband brought home. Life
You think they were swingers?
Nah, she was probably just nice in the South. That's the South back then, you know.
Could be swingers, bro.
No.
I don't know.
Maybe, but I don't think so, right?
They're into small, frail, hermit-looking
they,
men.
I was
They
gonna
got-
say, would they bring him home if they were?
Maybe they got a fetish.
was lonely
That
in
sounds
this
like
new
a crazy movie.
Edward Leedskalnin was very friendly, very polite, and confessed outright he hadn't a penny to his
Hello, my name is Edward Leedskalnin. I have no money and I cough. Sorry.
No.
The Mosers selflessly took young Ed into their home and nursed him back to health.
It's very nice of them. I would not have done that.
I don't think I could either.
No,
Listen
man.
to
I mean, well, it's a different time, obviously, now. But you can't just be picking people up off a highway and, like...
I was talking
Bring
to
them to
Ashley
your
about
house.
this. If you could hypothetically take in a homeless man as a pet,
What?
because I treat my pet really good. My pet, like my dog,
But
it
why does
gets,
it gotta be
it
your
get like
pet?
a warm meal. I take care of it, make sure it's got vaccination. I walk it, I talk to it all
Why
the
are you
time.
talking to your dog?
I treat my dog better than some homeless men. Don't you think homeless men would want to trade their life for some pets?
No, as
A
a
big
as
house.
a pet?
As a big house.
In what way is a pet, I guess?
I know,
What's
it's
your
like, it's
responsibility
unhumane
is
to think
be a
of it.
pet?
But some pets get treated better than homeless men.
Can't it just be like...
You
the
gotta
guy you're
agree a
letting-
little bit with that.
What?
Some pets have better lives than homeless men.
Yes,
So why not be a pet?
because you're a pet then.
I mean, you can't get taken advantage. Nothing sexual, just the lifestyle.
Again, what's the...
I'm talking about lifestyle, pet lifestyle.
so you get taken on walks?
Yeah, talk to, petted.
Are you...
You get food.
Do you have...
We'll let them sit
do
at
you
the
have
table.
to, like, run to the door when Peans walks through the door?
I mean, that would be like. I mean, you're not.
Does
you're
your
not.
guy... Does your
That'd
guy
be
have
good
to-
payment. Like he wags, just like.
Oh,
gets
that's
excited.
horrible. That is
Why
horrible.
why we get excited when
Wagging.
the dog does it?
Talking about wagging, a grown man's got to wag when you go through, or a grown woman has to
He's
wag.
living in the street.
Nope. I'm not here for that
Just an idea.
at all.
Just an idea. I'm not saying I want to do it. I'm just saying
Nope.
some pets got better lives. Me or the homeless man?
You, I guess.
With respect, his story of leaving Latvia, of his search all over America for the right type of land. I'll know when I find it, he said. It's for my sweet 16. He would never explain who she was, but Ed was obviously haunted by a dream or a memory of land and a castle for his sweet 16. As soon as he regained his health, Ed continued searching the backcountry. Crazy Ed and his rusty bike became the butt of many local jokes. Neighbors, watching him prod the ground, began rumors that he was hunting for buried treasure. Ed always rejected the good farmland. When people wondered why, he only smiled.
Wait, don't you need dry heat for tuberculosis?
Again, bro, I don't know about this.
That's what I was just thinking, but I don't know. I guess I'm not a
Finally, he
I'm a
excitedly
scientist.
brought Moser to a
Doctor,
remote
not a
plot.
scientist.
Moser was astounded, for Ed had unerringly located the worst acre in the state.
Wow.
It was all bedrock.
That's amazing.
Right up to the surface. You couldn't plow it, you couldn't farm it. Moser gladly gave a small section to his friend. A few weeks later, Moser's curiosity got the better of him. He dragged his wife out through the brush to see what Ed could possibly do with that land. They couldn't believe their eyes. Ed had somehow cut a 10-ton block of solid coral right out of the bedrock and hoisted it into the air. As they nervously approached his flimsy tripod and the block which could crush them in an instant, they realized there was something more than craziness in Ed. How did he do it?
Man, my
Ed
ass would
smiled
not be
and
standing
said,
up under that shit at all. Look at that. He's very confident in that thing that's there. But so, I thought we didn't know how he did it.
We don't.
So is this dramatization here? Like, they're just assuming this is what they walked up on, or was it some sort of like letter that one of these people wrote that knows that this is how?
Well, there's several accounts. This is the first account, right? And this is the first settlement. And then, like I said, after he built this settlement in 1923, it took him probably like another 7 to 8 years, or maybe a little bit more. But by 1930 something, he decided to move it all to Homestead.
Because he got jumped.
Some say that's a possibility. Other people say that it was more about him finding a better piece of land that had like magnetism. The crazy thing is, like, this is another documentary where this guy basically, he has studied Edward's castle for about 20 years. And in 1980 something, there's this, I'm gonna have him explain, because there's this ton monolithic door.
Do it.
This 9-ton gate is perfectly balanced on the wheel bearings of a 1918 Ford truck. To do this, Ed had to find the center of gravity of the stone, and he had no tools. All his tools came from a junkyard. Now this stone is so perfectly balanced that it'll move with a gentle push. In 1986, the weight, 9 tons of this stone, crushed the wheel bearings. So Coral Castle called the University of Florida. They sent down an engineering team to see if they could fix it. What happened was this: they called in a construction crew. They brought in a 50-ton crane. They lifted this 9-ton gate up. Well, when they did, at the bottom, they found that Ed had mounted this 9-ton stone on a smaller pie-shaped piece of stone. They could not understand how the pie-shaped piece of stone supported the 9 tons.
That's
so they
fucking
sent it
awesome,
to the geology
dog.
department at the University of Florida. The University of Florida Geology Department studied the stone, sent it back to Coral Castle here in Homestead, Florida, and they said, hey, this is not a meteorite, but the origin of this stone cannot be determined. The materials are not of this earth. Many people were curious.
So they bring the crew in to
The giant
to fix the
giant
door that was
spinning
perfectly
thing
spinning for
on
all
its
these
bearings.
years, and they couldn't get it. It's still there to this day, but they can't get it back, right?
They
And
can't
so
get it.
that's weird in itself, right? Because they have a
can't fix
crew with a crane, and they
Because it doesn't spin anymore or whatever.
well, it spins, but not at the same axis. Before, you could push it with your finger, and it would just. But the craziest thing, and this is where a lot of the extraterrestrial folklore comes with him, is that stone, like you said, that was sitting inside of the 1914 Ford truck axle, because it's basically
That's the part I don't understand. What's the truck axle thing?
so it's not really the axle, it's the bearing, the when you take your tire off, the metal thing, not the
rim?
No, the thing that the rim sits on top of.
Okay.
That spoke that has the lugs that you put on, he put at the bottom. because it spins. You know, because it technically there's an arm and then the thing goes here and then your wheel spins, right? He took this thing and put it like this and then sat that extraterrestrial stone. Like I said, the University of Miami did a scientific research on that stone and they could not find any of that. So that's weird. So he put that on top of the thing and that's what balanced the big ass wall to spin.
Yeah.
So that's mysterious, right?
Yeah, man.
So the thing is that there's not really a lot of witnesses to his work because Ed liked to work at night from like 12 at night a.m. to 6 in the morning. And he had, maybe because it was at night, he had a keen sense that anybody that would try to like sneak up and try to watch, he would stop. And he would like either stop working or he would stand on top of this like pedestal that he built and he would say, I will continue working when everyone leaves. And he would say stuff like that. So all this folklore started to come about. Now there is a witness account of some kids going out to play and they came up on the castle one night and they seen these blocks moving like helium balloons. They said that was their explanation for what they seen the rocks. So that's these little kids saying
Floating.
Right. Now, there is a lot of other men, right, that say that they are able to kind of do stuff. So
Yeah, I've seen some of these. Like, is this? Go ahead.
well, these guys are construction people, right?
Not this one, but yeah.
These are regular construction people with big machines, and they have trouble doing what Ed was doing, right? So
we cut it up in about 5 to 6 ton blocks, and then we'll pull it out with the backhoe and stack with a front end loader, and eventually they'll be.
Look at all the work. This is a full crew doing this.
Cut up in different shapes and sizes.
So this guy actually quarries coral, limestone coral.
What does he do?
Quarry.
What does he do?
Quarry.
What does he do?
Quarry.
No, I mean like he quarries coral?
Yeah, he quarries limestone coral with a big ass excavation machine, tractor trailer. And Ed was doing this with tree
bark,
and some
lengths.
chains and
30,
pulleys.
30 feet, 20 feet, 15 feet, and some chains.
Billy Walker works at a quarry not
Some
far from Coral Castle.
Gravity.
Clearly, unearthing coral is not an easy task, even with modern technology. Walker and other quarry experts can only marvel at Ed Leedskalnin's solo quarrying and engineering feats.
I think it's amazing. I like to see how he did it.
Bob Jensen is a local historian who studied Coral Castle and the life and work of the mysterious Ed Leedskalnin.
It's hard to imagine how a man of Ed's size, 120 pounds, could cut 25-ton stones out of the earth, shape them, and stack them the way he has. It was a mystery then, but there are some clues.
First man to put some respect on that man.
Yeah, this is like 80 years later, too.
He hit him with 120 pounds. Boom.
Jensen
They call
searches
him
the
frail.
castle.
Did you say he was 120 pounds?
Put some respect on my name.
You almost had it. How do you do that? You don't even see. Do you see like a reflection of my glasses? Because you usually hit the right button.
I can't give you my secrets, bro. I'm like Edward Leedskalnin.
Take a few steps back to go.
You ain't got that. Wall for signs of Ed's secret technique.
If you look at the wedge marks here that were created when he drove wedges in with his sledgehammer and then broke this rock loose, you get an idea of maybe what the process was. It's very smooth and regular here, very irregular where the rock was just ripped out of the ground.
Many tools Ed used to.
So this was the machine I was telling you he calls his Sweet 16. There's 16 gauges of magnets, and some say this was a generator and basically what produced the power of Coral Castle. So this could also be the metaphor for his Sweet 16.
create his masterpiece are found on the castle tower's ground floor. Stone axes, winches, wedges, and pry bars.
Ed's tools were not only primitive, but they were all made by Ed. His wedges were made from Model T springs.
Ed even made a wheelbarrow from a brake drum salvaged at a junkyard. Despite these tools left behind, we know little of Ed's construction techniques.
So we do know some. So we have some experimental type of dudes, and so this is one guy, and he's actually. This just proves that one guy can move huge stones by himself. All right.
I might have seen this guy.
This man swears he's cracked. He's building his own Stonehenge in his Flint, Michigan backyard.
Michigan.
To prove it. Wally Wallington's not a scientist.
Just to prove it.
But he knows a thing or two about moving
He's
rocks.
doing all this work just to prove it.
That's a 300-pound
That's amazing. God bless people like this. You know what I'm saying? You need all types of people in this world whatsoever. I'm not the guy to go through all of that just because I think something. I'm just going to sit over here and think it and leave open for the fact that I'm wrong. I'll be like, okay, I think this, but I'm not going to go through all this crap unless it's something that's super important to me.
But that's what I was saying.
You need people like that. It's so awesome.
But that's what I was saying about what Kimberly was saying, that some men put all their passion into what the majority of men do, right? Life, wife, work. But some men put that same passion into jobs like this, and they're looked at weirdos or hermits and stuff. But it's the same energy. All men have it.
Yeah.
You know, just depending on the cards you were dealt. Maybe you had a young girl that was 16 and told you were a loser, and that forced you to go build a castle. You know what I mean? And that gave you the energy.
In the most amazing way possible. How did he figure out how to do it?
Because he didn't have no vagina.
So you're saying he just took the time? You're saying 10,000 hours of just trying to figure out how to do it?
And he didn't have no distractions. He didn't have the distractions of a regular man. Or some say, is that a distraction, right? But to him, in a sense, it was a distraction, because now that he had all this time, 24 hours in the day, to go over how he's going to do this in his mind and just dedicate his whole life to it, and then build such a thing that we're all amazed at to this day. Now, there's, like I said, there's a few men like, look, this guy.
Just play this one.
This is a 1,600-pound block.
16.
Not too difficult.
He's a retired construction worker whose passion is moving heavy items.
Yeah.
His feats always draw a crowd, mostly family.
I thought he was crazy. Who cares about moving blocks? But then when you look at the magnitude of the weights that he's moving around,
true.
It is really impressive.
When you say it to me, like if I'm not looking at it and you're like, hey man, this guy's moving really heavy blocks using just sticks and little tiny pebbles on axes using physics. And it's like, all right, I'm going to be over here watching the next episode of Ozarks or whatever on Netflix.
But then when
you're
see
sitting there
it,
looking, and you're just like, holy crap, he's really doing that.
Like, look, this is another crazy thing that he did.
Ton blocks to buildings.
He moved up to a pole barn at one point, a 30 by 40 pole barn.
He moved the barn,
300 feet
right?
for me, and it was more or less, what else can we move? And he looked at me and says, hey, can we move your barn? And I said, sure, let's, Next thing you know, it was 300 feet in the other direction onto another piece of property.
It can move barns. And Wally's betting it moves Stonehenge's 25-ton rocks.
So, again, this
is awesome.
This guy is showing you how he's doing it. You know what I mean? Now there's this other guy. So this is some of the video, right? Of in 1980, there was a closet. So the land. I know I'm jumping around, but I want to explain this to you guys. The land, when in 1951. Edward died of stomach cancer. So the land was given to his nephew, and then his nephew later on sold it to another family, and the family kept it and opened it as a park, basically, and it became registered as a historical site. And in the back of one of these closets adjacent to the Coral Castle, there's like a a tourist center or whatever, and the building has different rooms, and there was a closet. And in 1980, they found these old film, because all they had was pictures of Edward when he was working, but this is actually film of the way he worked. So we've seen that other guy, the way he moved stuff, and this is some video of Edward moving and quarrying rocks at the castle.
Ancient Stone Age is the work of Ed Leedskalnin, a 120-pound Superman. Using but the most primitive of tools, he handles huge 15-ton pieces of coral rock with the greatest of ease.
Look at that.
This is his life work, building a great stone city that he hopes will stand for thousands of years. He works as the ancient Egyptians did when they built the pyramids.
So he basically has logs, and he builds a track around the work site, right?
So there's a ton of people there, though.
Nah, where's a ton of people?
These aren't people right here?
No.
That's like his, what is it?
This is the Coral Castle being built.
Hit play? What's happening there? There's people walking.
Well, this was just a video that he was filming the day that like the people came and visited. There's nobody helping him. These are just tourists.
What I'm saying is, I thought he kept it secret. That's where I'm confused.
That was the wall, the door. Where this little kid.
That's really
pushing.
cool. What's this?
The rocking chairs.
Yeah.
They're rocking chairs.
They're rocking chairs. It's like straight to Flintstones, man. So this material, this coral
limestone.
Coral limestone is alive?
No,
not
that type of coral.
But it was at one point.
They call it coral limestone. So it's a family of that coral, but it's also fused with limestone.
Has coral in it.
Right.
So at one point it was alive.
I think so.
So it's sort of like fossilized coral.
That's exactly what it is.
That's very cool. Because then it has, as far as it has like, it had at one point like electricity in it.
That's a good thing, or a good observation. Maybe that's how, because they were saying some scientists say that he was able to have an ability to create anti-gravity. And he said because each block has its own gravity, so with the magnets he was able to switch the polarity and basically make it weightless. That's a theory. No one's actually been able to do that. Mm-hmm. What they have been able to do is like what the old dude was showing you is like I can move a whole barn with just
putting
pulleys
and
leverage.
That guy like put like little rocks.
And for
pebbles.
The barn he had other materials that basically added leverage.
Like that little piece that the aliens put there for Edward.
Or maybe Edward was an alien. Because nobody... That's the thing is that there's so many different accounts of what exactly he did. Like there's this other guy that actually drove around with Ed. I think this is
The mystery behind Coral Castle is that nobody ever saw him do any of the work here. Had to work completely by night with lantern light. Nobody ever saw him move or work on his creations. And they would come back a week later and a new piece would be up, weighing tons and tons with no visible means of having moved it there.
For some insight into how Ed might have worked, we can talk to those who actually knew him. As a boy, Orville Irwin got to know Ed Leedskalnin.
His name is Awful.
Once he even loaned Ed his truck for a few days.
Argle?
Argle.
Okay, I heard Awful. I'm like, damn.
As a boy, Orville Irwin...
Orville or Orful. Okay.
So this is an old school white name.
No, that's Awful? I thought his name was Awful.
Orful.
Damn, dog.
And got to know Ed Leedskalnin. Once he even loaned Ed his truck for a few days.
Now, I knew Ed personally. I attended the silent movies with him back in the 1920s. Now, I have written a manuscript stating in detail of how he accomplished this castle building. He didn't have any help from any alien power or any levitation or anything. It was 90% perspiration and his dedication and his ability to engineer.
So basically Sweat built the castle.
This is how he got his castle
I sweat a lot and I don't build anything.
built.
Irwin claims he watched Ed work, and his book includes pages of illustrations depicting Ed's method of quarrying the great masses of stone.
So what he's saying is that there was no extraterrestrial BS. You know, what we have to understand is that, like no offense to the other documentarians and journalists that followed, but when you add a certain folklore or mysteriousness to your story, you can be able to sell it better, right? Maybe even the owners of Coral Castle now want that mystique, so more people come and witness it themselves. Because if it was just marketed like, "Hey, small little hermit man built this with some leverage,"
Because he knew with stone, he was a stonemason,
and he also moved like large trees around, you know,
logs all up and down the west coast of the United States.
So this is the ground, right? He would cut out a square, right, and then implement. Remember the other guy was showing where the what are they called when like the spacers? You know how you put like when you want to cut something, right? You put a block in the middle and then you hammer it down and then it splits it. I forgot the name of whatever.
I don't know what that is because I don't do that shit.
So basically that's what he was using, and then with little rocks and stuff he would break it off. And
First, he would dig a trench around the desired size of the stones.
I should have just let this guy explain.
Hey man.
And then he'd drive wedges under the edge.
Once a stone was loose, Irwin says Ed raised it to ground level with a hoist and tripod and wood blocks.
Once the stone was lifted up to the ground level, he then would put horizontal poles down as a track and place small logs under for rollers. Then he would take his chain hoist and tie it to a tree, and that would give him horizontal leverage to pull the stone to his desired location. Once it was the desired location, he'd pry it up and then use his 10-ton jack to pry it in place.
Ironically, Irwin himself grew up to be a stonemason, and in 1951, after Ed died, he, along with 300 others, was asked to complete an affidavit verifying Ed's handiwork. Over the years, new and equally incredible facts about Ed's construction feats began to emerge. We now know, for instance, that Ed's amazing accomplishment did not end with the construction process itself. For Ed once moved the entire structure from its original site in Florida City to its present site in Homestead, and he did it completely by himself.
And a driver.
When Ed Leedskalnin first left Latvia, he wandered through Western Europe and Canada and ended up in Washington State. There he developed tuberculosis, and so for health reasons,
Washington State.
he moved
Come on.
to the warmer climate of Florida. He arrived in Homestead, where he found a small but developing town.
When Ed came in 1923, the downtown area of Homestead was probably only like 3 blocks long. There were a lot of local merchants, 3 or 4 grocery stores.
Local merch.
We had train service at least twice a day. Generally, local people thought that the very best was on the horizon.
Ed found his very best 10 miles south of Homestead in Florida City.
So this is the original place. Now the castle's in Homestead, but this is the original place that he bought from Mose.
Here, a parcel of land would become the
Swingers.
Original site of Coral Castle.
Probably just nice people.
For $12, he bought this acre of ground.
$12.
And started to create Coral Castle as we know it today. There's a private residence on the property right now, but as you can see, some of the tower still remains here. This structure is undoubtedly Ed's first structure since it was his living quarters here on the site.
In 1936, the area around his land in Florida City became too populated.
How safe
and
is
he
that, you
decided
think,
to
right
move
now?
to Homestead.
US 1 became
Should
the
you be
highway of
walking
choice
around?
for many.
Oh, so they're also saying that he moved because they were building a subdivision next to him.
Oh, and he was just like, nah, I'm not about that life.
I don't want people coming over here. All these damn neighbors checking my coral castle. Or it should be, all these damn neighbors coming over and checking my coral castle.
He wouldn't have a southern accent.
Fuck your subdivision.
What is that safe, you think?
What?
Just this structure now.
I mean, it's been there for almost 100 years.
Okay. Do you think it's safe?
I mean, people still visit.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
seems to me like it wouldn't be safe.
You're being negative, Nancy.
In South Florida. And Ned decided to move his whole rock garden up to Homestead so that he could become rich and famous.
Stop it. He just called that thing a
True
rock
to
garden?
form, Ed moved
Come on,
every
bro.
piece by him.
Just come let y'all know, stop, put some respect on my name.
For real, man. He built
Called
a
it a
Castle
rock
City.
garden.
He called that shit a rock garden. What
So this is how he transferred everything by himself.
Only this time, part of the job happened in public as Ed's borrowed trailer traversed the main road from Florida City to Homestead. The whole move took Ed about a year.
We cherish those memories of how he did it. He brought the stones through the center of Homestead. He didn't take them way off in the dark or anything like that. He went right down Main Street.
3 blocks.
Once in Homestead, Ed added more and more pieces to his stone tribute.
That house is a pain in the ass to move. It takes you a year to move. We complain about like a couple days of moving, but a fucking year to move your whole entire rocking wheelchair.
This is rocking wheelchair garden. Yeah, those alone.
Ed built his homestead tower and living quarters out of 243 tons of huge coral blocks, 2 feet thick.
That's so
16
cool.
steps lead to the tower where Ed rode out wild hurricanes in his hanging bed or his hanging chair.
Oh, that looks freaky.
Yeah.
His pantry also hangs from the ceiling by a rod affixed with a funnel that held kerosene to keep ants and insects from Ed's food.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Ed passed his days by reading his favorite books on magnetic currents and cosmic forces, or by designing electrical generators to power his radio and experiments. He would sometimes ride his bicycle into town to stock up on supplies. Ed earned his humble living by giving tours of his creation for 25 cents. But by nightfall, it was always back to building his castle.
So he charged you to look at it, but you wouldn't want to see him make it.
I think, again, it was about adding, I think he was smart enough to add that like folklore about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this way people would look at it kind of like a tourist attraction. Therefore, he would be able to, market it. You know what I mean? Like give it marketing. There's this other part that I want to get into about his observation on women.
Observation on women.
Yeah, there's this part that intrigued me because going back to what Kimberly was saying, you have to be away from vagina in order to develop this type of ability,
I don't know. What?
If he had a girlfriend to have sex with every couple of days or whatever, maybe he wouldn't have enough time.
A person to have sex with?
He didn't have that, so he could focus completely on his castle. You know
okay,
what? Another
I can see
gentleman,
at some level where a relationship would have taken away maybe his drive to, make this thing.
Yeah. Or maybe the lack of relationship because she left him also drove him to be like, I'm going to build the biggest castle in the world. So when she comes, I'm going to show her that, look, this is what I made for you because I love you. And
yes.
Either way, vagina is driving this. The reason why I say that is because, have you ever heard of Nikola Tesla?
Could have been love or wanting love.
Vagina.
It's a part of it.
Have you ever heard of Nikola Tesla?
I have.
What do you know about Nikola Tesla?
I know that apparently he didn't get his credit like he needed to get. It seems that he discovered electricity before Edison?
Yeah. Well, Edison actually
Edison
hired
the phone. Is Edison the phone or electricity?
Electricity.
Electricity. Okay.
Light bulb.
Light bulb.
Edison actually hired him to better. So Edison invented, and I might confuse this, is backwards and forward. One of them invented AC current. The other one invented DC current. Okay. One of them is worse for you. All right. Okay. And I think it is direct current. All right. Alternating current is what Tesla invented. Okay. And it was
discovered or invented?
Both. Because it was electricity.
Discovered how to control it or whatever.
Right. And manipulate it. And
big time science talk here.
Harness. But basically, according to what I read, Edison hired Tesla to basically make his better. When he actually made, alternating current, Edison went around trying to defame because he was afraid that Tesla's science was better. So Edison was a better marketer. He would go around and electrocute dogs and horses at fairs to prove that his electricity was better. But what happened was that his electricity can only go so far. So they needed Tesla's innovation in order to basically have long distance electricity. If not, we would have a plant in like every single city. But because of the innovation of what Tesla brought to electricity, we're able to have plants scattered around and we can send electricity a long distance, basically. Yeah. Now, Tesla was more of a recluse, hermity type of...
Was he frail?
He looked a little frail. And
great mustache.
He wasn't a good speaker or a good marketer. So Edison won the race in electricity, and we look at Edison as the father of electricity because Edison was a better marketer. You know what I mean? And because...
Look at that, because that's what they tell us in school.
Well, yeah. But arguably all the science that we use, from fluorescent bulbs to the Tesla car, it all comes from science made by Nikola Tesla. Now, Nikola Tesla was another guy that never got married and never had a lot of vagina in his life. And he even wrote...
Love relationship. Not necessarily vagina.
Vagina's part of it. That's what we fall in love with.
Sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, in order for you to marry that person, the rest of it's got to be awesome. Mm-hmm. But the vagina is what attracts us to it. And
some of us,
we fall in love with the mind and the soul and the food that they cook, or sometimes they don't cook, but we give them a high five every now and then when they try.
Again,
I cook better than my girlfriend.
Some cook, some don't cook, some cook together.
I cook and clean better than my girlfriend.
Some have penises, some have both, or transitioning and moving to, all of that.
So Nikola Tesla had the same kind of ideals about women. And what's crazy is they were both super inventors, right? So I wanted to play this little thing that I found on the internet about Nikola Tesla's love life.
When a man who has made a name for himself
like Kimberly.
deliberately chooses
Kimberly's
to remain
sister,
a bachelor,
Agatha.
the world is naturally curious
She doesn't sound
to know
much
what
older.
the reasons were that impelled him to this choice. Marriage has come to be considered the natural thing for every normal man, and when some preeminent man shows a firm determination to sidestep it, everybody wonders whether his superior intelligence has revealed to him some fatal defects in the institution of matrimony, which are not apparent to the average person. But the public's curiosity in this respect is seldom gratified. Most of the distinguished bachelors try to pass off their bachelorhood as a joke, saying that it is not a matter of choice, but because they have never been able to find a woman who would marry them. As a rule, they are singularly averse to giving any serious reasons for their failure to become husbands. Nikola Tesla, the great scientist and inventor, is a striking exception to this rule. In an interview with a representative of this newspaper, he frankly explains why he has never married and why he probably never will marry.
Is he boxing a girl in that one?
With his explanation, he presents some ideas about woman's freedom and what he thinks it is sure to lead to that. In the past, the reason why Mr. Tesla never married was because his estimation of woman placed her on such a lofty pedestal that he could never bring himself to feel worthy of her.
It's an amazing photo.
Now that she has as he feels, stepped down from her pedestal and bartered all her noblest qualities for what is called her freedom. He is even more disinclined to matrimony than he was before. Although of course Mr. Tesla is too gallant a gentleman to say it in so many words, his comments let it be inferred that he thinks the new woman is almost as far beneath him as the one of other days was above him. According to his views, the sex has rushed from one extreme to another. I had always thought of women as possessing those delicate qualities of mind and soul that made her in these respects far superior to man. I had put her on a lofty pedestal, figuratively speaking, and ranked her, in certain important attributes, considerably higher than man.
My dude is deep thinking the shit out of vagina. Like, it's not that technical, bro. Just say hello. You want to go out on a date. But this is what happens.
It's not like that for everybody, though.
But with overcritical minds, right? Maybe that's what it is. They have that block because they're thinking too deep about, like, oh my God, she's a mysterious woman, and I have to put on this pedestal of vagina. I'm gonna smell like roses and flowers and a deep nature, and I have to see that Tesla how can I connect? Because that's what. That was a Tesla.
I like
that. Like, I'm getting my acting chops in.
But there's that. I saw something one time about this part of the brain having to do with overthinking during this part of the brain's activity sexually, like sex-wise. Yeah. Like during sex, this part of the brain's doing something, but this part of the brain is overdoing something, so it's like fighting each other. And I think it has to do
So if he was having sex, he'd probably be thinking about like electric bolts and wires and stuff.
Or like you're saying, just maybe in the moment, it's like, I don't know, what's that smell? Look at that light over there. Did I leave this on? Maybe, like you're saying, maybe light bulbs. Or maybe before that, before the sex even happens, maybe he's just thinking about the woman, instead of just letting it flow and letting it be awesome and letting it be fun, He's so smart that he can't get out of his own way.
I mean, the connection to a woman is so deep. You know that pirates, right? Sometimes when they were out sailing, they were so far gone in their mind because they were out in the ocean for such a long time.
Food and water.
Right, that they would pull up on some of these islands and they would see these sea porpoises, right? They kind of look like a sea porpoise, like a manatee.
You talking about dugongs?
Yes. So they would be like, oh, look at that dugong, and they would dive in.
These are the mermaids.
And the pirates would dive in and say, it's a mermaid, and it was really a manatee, and they would have sex with the manatee.
Because apparently that the vagina of a manatee or a dugong or whatever is the closest
to a woman's, according to pirates.
Oh, I thought that was real.
I mean, pirates
maybe that's not right, because that sounds so crazy that I just sort of said, "Oh, okay," and kept it moving.
Who would try that except for pirates? Who would know to analyze that?
That's some dirty ass shit.
But if you're on sea for like a year or 2 years, you've never seen a vagina, you've been getting head from the fucking cabin boy, and the dugong walks by, you dive into the ocean.
No. You know what I've never understood, and granted, I've never had to be in the, I guess, extreme situations as far as that goes, but even just in my regular life, call it my 20s when I go through a dry spell or something like that, right? I don't understand the need to go like that crazy.
Diving for dugongs?
Just whatever. Sleeping with manatees, or, if you're not gay, sleeping with men, but then saying that you're not gay. Or whatever. I've never understood that. Like, if you're not getting any, then you're just not getting any. So just masturbate.
Some people's sexual drive is different.
But it's impossible.
Why?
It just is. Like, if you really gotta get one off, then go get one off, and then just keep it moving. And if it's that crazy, then just keep it moving.
I agree. Like, my thing is, when I started getting to a certain age where I was like, I don't want to be overworking for a vagina, right? Like, I don't want to keep going out of my way or chasing the wrong women or, just getting the nut, because after you just get the nut, you feel like a piece of shit. It's nothing like being with a woman that you share something with, that you have a connection with, that that there's a purpose there. Like that sexual connection is way more valuable than just the side fuck or even jerking off. You know what I mean? But that's me. You know what I mean? Other people have other sexual desires. It drives them differently. You know, some men are completely addicted to just watching porn and jerking off to porn. And it's easier for them to do that because they don't have to go connect with a woman and talk to her and, you know, build with her.
Well, it's obviously easier.
Right. Well, that's what it is. That, you know, some people, you know, what is easy? It's this huge spectrum. Some things are easier than others. You know what I mean? Some men that attract women like that, they don't have to ever worry about that because it's just they look, bam, and they conquer.
There, yeah.
You know, some men like that are frail and hermit-like.
Yeah.
Maybe it's harder for them.
No, I understand. And in some level, there's those guys like me. They're in between. They can just kind of sometimes walk into a room, or used to be able to just walk into a room and look around and be like, that girl's feeling me. Boom, go over there. And then other times I'd be in a room and it's like, I think everybody hates me right now for whatever reasons. Maybe just my face. You know what I mean? So yeah, I guess so. But this guy definitely, I guess, missed the boat throughout his research, because he started saying that women were up here, and then by the time he came out of it, when he had invented everything, I guess, now he's saying that they aren't even worth my time anymore.
I think with these two men that we have to basically, why did it happen to these two guys? Like what is the maybe theme in their life? And that's, they were Eastern European men, right? And they came to the United States. So even though there was a lot of immigrants in the United States, they were definitely not the norm. So maybe it was a little harder for them to be an immigrant to come to the United States and find
the language.
Maybe, you know,
as well.
But either way,
they're still better than anybody in the. That's another thing. People, you can't really speak English. Well, you can't speak Spanish worth a damn, or you can't speak Latvian worth a damn. But I'm speaking English well enough to communicate and live in. Anyway, sorry, that's a side note. It's funny when I hear that. Can't really speak English.
The United
well.
States
like,
has always been an immigrant nation, so like you're gonna find somebody that doesn't speak English. I mean,
but the thing is, like, they're still like here getting by. Like, you on your best day, dude who's mad, couldn't go over there and get around the way these people are like getting around. You know what I mean? This guy,
first world problems,
inventing shit. You know what I mean? This guy moving cities across the street. He's like, he kind of says his R is weird. It's like, shut up. You're a nutbag. Sorry. That's a whole separate conversation about the reaction of people to people's accents.
Well, yeah, it's not the norm. You're small, frail, you don't speak the language, you have tuberculosis. There's a lot of reasons that maybe, you know, you didn't get dealt those cards of being in a relationship.
Never got a chance, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it sucks. That sucks a lot, man.
You think a woman could have lived in that castle?
I think the right woman, yeah, absolutely. The right type of person that obviously I've seen and met in Florida, the tiger lily type person, you know what I mean? I don't need to wear shoes because it's weird. My shoes feel weird like that, you know what I mean? That just want to live in a castle. You know how many people would love
this is before hippies, though.
There's no before hippies. There's always been people like hippies or whatever. Hippies are just, people that are like into nature and freedom and
smoking weed.
Some like drugs. Maybe the majority will smoke some weed, but others maybe go further, and others don't do any of it. They just drink water with lemon and no ice.
Maybe he wasn't attracted to hippie women.
How can you not be?
Well, I mean, this is the line I wanted to draw in creative minds and wondering, you know, if you do have more time on your hands and you're not doing what the regular man is doing, does it bring greatness? You know what I mean? And overwhelmingly it does.
It might, yeah. It might. Time. Or you might sit around and just, jerk off to internet porn because that's what you used to. You know?
But you're not going to have a castle.
No, what I'm saying is just because you're not in a relationship doesn't mean you're going to use your time to build castles. You might just end up eating cereal on your couch.
Those people are irrelevant, though. We're never going to hear about them.
And just become a sad dude. I literally saw something. A 700-pound man has decided, the word wasn't decided, but said that all he's going to do from now on is play video games and eat food.
He's already been doing that.
Right? That's what I'm saying. Like, it's like saying I quit after you've been fired. He doesn't want, he's not worrying about girls. He's not worrying about none of that stuff. He's just, or relationships. He's just worried about, you know. And it was funny because he was getting ready. He was still moving around, which was impressive to me at 700 pounds. He was like, he just took off his shirt, right, to go sit on his bed. He had like a headband on because he's like kind of hairy, put a headband on. And then he took like a blanket or something and put it underneath his stomach so that he wouldn't get like sweaty or like a rash because he's just going to be sitting around playing video games for the next 12 hours of his life. Stacks of pizza boxes, dog. You know what I mean? That guy doesn't have a girlfriend.
System, though.
That guy doesn't have a girlfriend.
He knows about skin protection.
And he hasn't decided to make his life a lot better.
Yeah, but maybe he can come up with a new way to...
It's not just
moisturize skin.
It's not just having a relationship. It's just having that drive, man. Being weird, like you said, leaning into that. I also saw somewhere where it's like that weirdness or that fear you have or phobia of something. Like, oh man, people think I'm weird when I do that, or I feel like I want to do that, but I shouldn't do that. Maybe you should. Maybe not all the time, because sometimes you're about to do something illegal and creepy. Sometimes, that's what you're supposed to do. Just be uncomfortable for a while and, spend your twilight hours.
I learned a lot from awkwardness.
Mm-hmm. How so?
Just in the sense of like regular, maybe regular is the wrong word, but when you're just acting normal nature back and forth or whatever, it seems
small talk and stuff.
Yeah, it just seems like regular, like I'm playing the role, blah blah blah. But when you make it awkward, you really can make people feel uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like I don't know why I used to always do this, but I enjoy either whenever go put your hand out to shake my hand. And I would do stuff like that. And the person's like, what are you doing? But it's like that moment for a second is changing shit up. You know what I mean? Like, well, okay, shake your hand regular, hello, blah, blah, small talk. Blah.
I hate small talk, man. I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
That's one of the makes me kind of an asshole is I don't really like my girlfriend would try to drag me out to
work parties or something.
Yeah, and it's like, I got to meet new people and talk small talk, and I've always been an entrepreneur, so sometimes I don't really relate to a lot of 9-to-5 folk, and that's okay. We're just different people, right? But it always leads to, really? Well, what do you do all day? Like, I work, I do different things, you know what I mean? And it's just, it becomes that kind of mindset, and yeah, man, it becomes corny. So you got to spice things up, mix things up a little bit. At least for my humor and my entertainment, I do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I toy when I'm in situations like that. I always have to either decide if I want to make it awkward or not by saying what's in my brain. You know what I mean?
I have the same situation.
Somebody's talking and I want to say something. I'm like, nah, I don't feel like making the whole thing.
Or what about the relay race of where do we end this conversation? All right, we're going to end? Yep. Okay,
I'm
good.
I'm going to go over 15 feet this way, and I'm going to go 7 feet this way, and I'm just going to dig around in this hummus for a while.
Keep trying to figure out a way to finish the conversation. Throw this out. Okay, this should fit. Nope, you're going to keep going. Okay.
Oh yeah, cats who just talk to hear themselves or talk to get their turn. It's like, I can't wait for him to stop talking so I can talk about what I just did this weekend. I have it. Looks like he's done it. That really applies to what I'm saying, right? And it's like, nah, bro, let's have a conversation. And I'm not even like the conversation guy, because I'm not very intellectual and I can just pontificate for hours upon hours about Tesla and all his electricity and shit like that. But
I want to blow your mind
all the time, right? No, I just let's have just an honest conversation, even if it is about the NFL, which I don't watch. We can talk about it, but the small talk is what gets me. Is when it's like, what do you do for a living? What's your job? How do you do that? And blah blah blah. And then Trump or whatever it is. It's just kind of, I don't know. It's mundane, and it always makes me feel awkward because I don't know a lot of the stuff that's happening, especially when it comes to
Politics or something?
No, my job puts me up on politics pretty well. But like, I'm just saying, I don't know, Kardashians is one of them. Just, and Cardi B.
I can't do sports. I've lost track of sports for so many years.
Sports is another one that I'm not up on, and I just you don't want to do the Super Bowl pool? No, not really. Just explaining stuff just gets on my nerves, I guess.
Yeah, but you definitely need that small talk when it comes to girls.
Yeah.
Maybe that's really what these guys didn't have either.
I guess.
They get into like magnet conversations and theoretical science, and maybe not a lot of women are. Now, at the time, maybe they weren't. Now you get more of that.
Again, the right woman is.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's what I try to tell my son not all the time, because he's just we're just starting to really gear into, that type of relationship girl stuff. Talk-wise, anyway. But I don't know, man. It's different for everybody, but if you're trying that hard, it's not, might as well call it a day, unless you're just trying to practice, like you're saying, just trying to like hit it and whatever. But the right woman, you're going to be yourself 100% and 100% honest.
You think some people are born to be asexual?
Born to be, like destined to be? If at the end of their time, if they have been by themselves all their life, then obviously yes.
So like innate, like most animal species on this planet, they have to procreate, or they have to get like, it's just part of their intuition or their nature, right?
Genes or whatever.
But maybe humans are not like that because of our intellectual capacity. Like maybe we're.
No, I think humans are built to, procreate.
Well, yeah, we're built, but I'm saying
not built or like driven.
But because of our intellectual power compared to, not to say we're the smartest animals, but just the way we're the only animal that observes and just it doesn't have like we're the only species on Earth that analyzes other species.
That's probably not true. I don't know anybody off the top of my head, but
it's like other animals don't do what humans do, right? Humans,
because we're the most ruthless and smartest in the way that we can like.
Yeah,
like
but
if dolphins had arms and feet and could breathe on land, we'd be dead, right?
Yeah, but do dolphins ponder philosophy and religion and shit? That's what I'm saying. We have a conscious. There's a certain.
Maybe their version of it. I don't know.
It seems like most animals just communicate with each other. They have their structure, their pods, their packs, their herds, or whatever. They have their own structure.
Maybe, but there's some shit at the bottom of the ocean we just don't know about. You know what I mean?
You think there's some fish at the bottom of the ocean?
Underneath the ocean, bro.
Underneath the ocean, like all plotting on scientific, wanting to get to space and shit. Want to drive a car.
Maybe want to call them fish or whatever is down underneath down deep in the earth. Using the earth, the core's heat to power subterranean cities. I don't know if we call them fish, but Tesla and my man,
Tesla like animals.
What was the dude's name?
Edward
Leedskalnin.
Skaldin.
They knew about it. Probably.
Maybe. Who knows?
I'm just saying, and it maybe a large part of it was because they didn't feel the need to bring flowers on February 14th.
Who even invented that? Some corporation.
But I like
Some flower corporation.
I like it. Makes my girlfriend feel nice.
Yeah.
And I like when I do that.
Flowers. If I was a girl, I would like chocolates because I'd be a fat girl.
If you were a flower, you'd like chocolates?
If I was a girl, I would want chocolates.
Okay. What about if you were Peans? What would you want for
chocolate? Food. Well, flowers don't bring me flowers.
Some
what the fuck is a flower gonna do but die?
What if you just bring some mofongo?
I don't like mofongo.
Why not?
Nah. I'm not a big pork guy.
Mofongo? It's
yeah.
not pork.
Yeah, they put pork in
plantains.
And pork.
Nah, it doesn't need to.
Yeah, but if you're gonna eat real mofongo, not like some vegan shit.
Nah.
The ones the African slaves made.
Nah.
Yeah, it was made by slaves, bro. They weren't thinking about being vegans.
I'm just going to say no.
They were not thinking about being vegans. They were like,
No, they're trying to live.
The leftovers?
Trying to
Okay.
live.
Make this.
Trying to live.
Well, my name is Phraydoe Peans.
My name is still Thompson. It's still Thompson.
It's still Thompson. It hasn't changed.
Alberto.
If you want to contact us, if you want to know more about the story, it is Fresh Produce Flora Media at Gmail. It's going to be up here, Fresh Produce Flora Media at Gmail.
Put some respect on my name.
Make sure you tune in, subscribe. Please subscribe. I haven't been saying that enough. Subscribe. We're trying to get 1,000 subscribers so we can monetize this and turn this into a full-time job for both of us. So we need you guys to subscribe.
Yeah,
subscribe. 1,000. I expect 1,000 subscription. But other than that, stay blessed. Stay peaceful. Make sure if you're an intellectual monster, you approach women and you create, coexist with other women. Stop overthinking shit.
Yeah, man, just be nice. Be yourself.
Yeah.
And some will turn into friends with the shoulder pat or the church hug. And some will turn into very interested, possibly more. So keep it going, man. You'll be all right.
Keep it awkward, but wear condoms.
Always wear condoms. Yeah.
Always wear condoms.
It's a good thing to end on.
For real. Did they have condoms back then?
In the 20s?
Yeah. That's another good question for another episode.
Yeah, it sounds like a different episode question.
Peace of love, gang signs.